Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you were saying about like what's happening in France and with
Yeah, so this
Nepal.
isn't like the first
Yeah.
time that the French people have taken to the streets to protest what's
Mhm.
happening.
Yeah.
They've done this periodically, obviously forever, but it
Yep.
has really kind of stepped up. I think 2022 was no, it was 23. They
Hmm.
took to the streets, and that
Hmm.
was pretty. They were actually there were warnings that people shouldn't travel to
Right.
Paris because
Right.
of the demonstrations were dangerous.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's going to reach that level now, but I find it interesting that there's upheaval in France at the same time there's upheaval here.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
that
And but I think to your point, and then we're also, I was reading and watching video from Nepal. They
Mhm.
banned all of their social media,
Yep.
and the millennials lost their minds.
Oh yeah. I
And
don't. I think it's indicative, though, of a generational thing because America
yeah.
is going through this. I mean, millennials aren't like tearing down the government. I don't know that they're
Mhm.
that involved in government, but what they are involved in is or what they
Mhm.
are interested in is the government staying out of their lives, right?
Correct.
And
Yep.
I think that that is a grave misjudgment on the part of the older Gen X and boomers,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's mostly still boomers, honestly, who dominate the seats in government right now.
Yep.
Overwhelmingly
Absolutely.
white, overwhelmingly male, overwhelmingly older, right?
Yes. Yep. to
So,
to to the oh god, I don't, and so I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh my god, this literally. And so we were talking about, and I know we got to get started with the show, but we were talking about what's happening, and then what just happened with Russia, with the drones over Poland in their air, and they're shooting down the drones, and now there's an Article 4 that was declared, which we both know really it's just, hey, let's scream and balk about it,
right.
kind of thing. And so the question that I have been asking in my head as I'm watching everything that's happening, because China has taken a stance with Venezuela, and they
Yeah.
have started moving and are already in position to support Venezuela. And so I'm looking at all of this and I'm like, are we on the edge? I don't even want to say.
Well, I mean, yes,
Are we?
maybe. I mean, I've I've also considered that. I think it what I find interesting about this whole thing is that China's decided to actually mobilize,
Yes.
where typically they are very insulated, right? Like they've let the rest of the world do what the rest of the world is going to do.
Exactly.
And they have remained focused on their people, their education, their technology. We
Mhm.
can talk about their human rights abuses. That's valid, right? That's totally valid. Although the US has zero stones to throw in that
Mm,
regard.
mm.
Let's not go there. That's
Woo.
a different show.
Different show.
That's a different conversation for a different day. Um, but for the most part, China has allowed the world to do whatever the world is going to do. I mean, yes, we can talk about Taiwan, we can talk about Hong Kong,
Hmm.
and all
Hmm.
that sort of thing. Um, but overall, this is okay. This is what gets me. The United
Okay,
States
he's going in.
The
Whew.
United States talks about peace, and the United States has to help these people, and the United States, we are the most warriest nation on earth.
My God, today.
We have troops. I feel like this camera is very close to me. Hold on. I gotta move my chair back. Okay, there. It's like my face was like right there. Okay, sorry. Anywho, the United States has troops all over the world
Yep.
under the guise of security and
Yeah.
peacekeeping, which we know is horseshit. And the
Correct.
reason why we know that is because we, we sent Navy SEALs to North Korea and they murdered people who were out of fishing or oysters or whatever the hell they were doing. minding their own damn business, and we have no regard for the fact that these people probably live a subsistence existence, right? Like they are is that even the right word? Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
I think it is subsistence. Anyway, what happens to those men's families? Like what happens to the people that they were out there fishing for? Like that, and then you have the bombing of the boat in the Caribbean with supposedly
11 civilians.
yes,
And
supposedly they were smuggling drugs. We don't know this for sure because why? They were denied due process.
Correct.
What do you know? And then for the vice president of the United States, when somebody's like,
I know.
"Well, we didn't know," and he was like, "I don't give a shit what you call it.
I don't give a shit." Yes, and I thought,
I'm sorry, what the fuck now? That to me is mind-blowingly irresponsible.
To the nth degree.
Like,
and on that note,
mind-blowingly irresponsible.
On that note, welcome to the Rivalry Report.
Oh yeah, we do have a show to do. And we're going to talk about something that has nothing to do with what we were just discussing.
However, you still need to know this because the knowledge is your power.
Knowledge is power.
Yes,
the
it
more
is.
you know.
Correct. That is right. And so what we're here to do today, first of all, I'm Paulette. And to the other side of me, depending on whichever way you're going to see this recording later.
I know, because I was pointing this way. Like last week, I was pointing this week, and you were actually on this side of the screen. Like,
yeah. And I was like, what's going on?
Anyway, I'm Heather Asianbi, and together we are the Rivalry Report.
The Rivalry.
So, want to know what we're talking about today? It's very exciting.
I don't know, because boy, that was hot. I was ready to go.
I know. But we really need to stick to the schedule.
We got to stick to it. But that was really good stuff.
So just in case people are like, why do you have to stick to the schedule? What does that even matter? You're right. We made it up ourselves. We could change it whenever we wanted. Here's the thing, though. Too many of our fellow Americans don't understand government, campaign financing, elections, election integrity, what constitutes voter fraud, what constitutes election fraud, right? And I'm not saying we're going to go into every one of those, but we've already covered Civics 101, how the government is organized and its various jobs.
Branches of government. Yep.
Right. 2 weeks ago, we covered campaign advertising and how they play on your emotions and not your intellect.
Correct.
And Paulette gave a master class because she has her MBA in marketing and advertising about what was TOMA.
Top of mind awareness. Yes.
Top of mind awareness. I kept saying MoMA earlier, but I'm like, that's the Museum of Modern Art. That's not the same.
MoMA. Yes. No, it's TOMA.
TOMA. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so today we're talking about the money behind the message. Specifically, we're talking about PACs and super PACs.
Yes.
So what I want you to do, close your eyes. Close your eyes.
No more get you.
Not that.
Oh, okay. No, not that one. Okay.
Get serious. Come on.
Okay.
Think about the last time you saw a political ad that made you laugh or cry or like rage through it, right? Most of the time, those are not paid for by the candidates themselves. So who's really behind the political messages that we are bombarded with, and what do they want in return? So today we're going to dive into the world of PACs and super PACs, how they work, why they matter, and what one recent case, specifically in Wisconsin, tells us about the future of American elections. So I'm going to let Paulette dive in and give the definition of a PAC and a super PAC.
All right, so let's talk about what are PACs, folks. This is one of my most favorite topics, and I actually talked about this in massive detail on the night shift, which is a part of Brownstone Worldwide. And let's talk about packs, because you're probably thinking I'm talking about packing your suitcase, like PACK. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're not even talking about the song from back in the 80s called Pack Down. We're not even talking about that.
That was a really
We're
good
talking about traditional packs and super packs. But let's talk about packs first. So a pack is a political action committee. Pause. Where are your pens and your paper?
Yeah, get a notebook. Because these episodes are note-taking worthy.
Yes, they are.
Okay,
These are important. Now, basically what a political action committee is, these are registered political committees that actually raise capped donations and can give directly to candidates and parties. So, for example, a corporation or union connected political action committee and quote non-connected or ideological PACs can raise funds for a candidate or for a party.
So here's the thing I think people need to know too, is that they can actually raise unlimited funds. Like they can have a bank account with millions in it, right?
Yep.
But there are contribution limits.
There are.
For candidates themselves.
For the candidate. Yes, that is correct. Now, I want to dig deeper further on about 504s and stuff like that. I think that is important, but I just want to kind of stick here. So like, let me tell you why these matter. Direct checks by access. Listen to what I just said. They are shopping, folks.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're buying access and they show organized support. They're the legal way that organizations can aggregate small donations into meaningful, trackable money. Now, this has to be tracked. Where am I getting this information from? The same place that you can, opensecrets.org. It's my favorite place. I love to go there and gather information, right?
But this is why. So when you talk about lobbyists, like the National Rifle Association has lobbyists, that's a PAC. Or
that's a PAC.
Right? That's a PAC.
Yes.
The American, I don't know, doctor groups. There's so many of them. Anyway,
there are
an alphabet soup of those, right? They have people who go to Washington to lobby for it. Big Pharma.
Correct.
PACs and super PACs, and they have people who go and lobby Congress, members of the Senate and the House, to get them to see like why limiting research is good or why more research is good. Whatever, like the point is. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely. So PACs. So if we just stick here in PACs, if you just listen to what I just said, basically it's a group of people or corporations or organizations that can come together, pool their resources, and raise a limited amount of funds so that they can take up on issues they all agree upon and get behind a candidate that is running for a particular office, be it the Senate or the House or even a presidential campaign, for example. Does that make sense? Did you all write that down? All right. Now, PACs have been around since the 70s, folks. So it's not that it's new, but it kind of still is. And there are people who literally still have I have problems with PACs. But so basically, let me give you an example. Think Megaphone Club. What the Megaphone Club is going to do is it's going to raise unlimited funds to buy ads for or against a candidate. Once they choose where they want to put their money, these PACs are going to choose to put their money to their candidate, but then also to the person they are running against. So it may be a negative campaign that you see that will start running. And then you'll see this ad is not supported by so forth and so on. And you'll see it in fine print, or you'll hear it on the radio or on television ads, right? Now, here's the thing. They can raise unlimited funds, like I said before. They are doing that to raise money for ads to help with the campaign itself, but they cannot, listen closely, They cannot give money straight to the candidate or plan with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes it has to make sense. Okay, now here's the thing that's happened since 2010. After court decisions changed the rules, they had
Everybody,
to come up out of
okay,
there.
take a note. There were two cases, big ones. Citizens United, which is the one you often will hear of.
Hear about. Yep.
So Citizens United versus the FCC, which is the Federal Elections Commission. There was also speechnow.org versus the FEC, Federal Elections Commission. But you will most often hear pundits, candidates, the news, media, whatever, often just say Citizens United, and that is like an encompassing title for this campaign reform, which many credit to leading to the crap ass way that campaigns are run and financed now.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So basically, now what I just talked about with the Megaphone Club, I should have been clear. Those are super PACs. I just named it Megaphone Club so that it was easy to remember. So you just have a PAC, which is a regular club, quote unquote, that collects money from people who agree on issues. They give limited money straight to a candidate's campaign. Yes. They've been around since the 70s. A super PAC is a quote unquote mega club. So it's just bigger than just a regular PAC. Now, this one raises unlimited money to buy ads. But the thing is, these have been around since around 2010, and their ads literally flood your television, YouTube, social media, and shape what voters believe.
Yeah. So, at the end of every radio or TV ad, you hear this ad was approved by blah, 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 or this ad was paid for by blah, blah, blah. Those are federal disclosures to introduce or keep some type of transparency with campaign financing. But what Citizens United and speechnow.org did, those two cases, was it made it so they can spend bazillions of dollars, and that is a technical term, bazillions of dollars, without actually being bound by any of the rules that candidates are bound by, which essentially creates a parallel two-track system of campaign messaging, right? But where super PACs, I think this is where we get into the bad part about. I mean, super PACs can be good, they can be bad, good and evil, right? But this is where I think candidates don't have any control over what the super PAC does at all. Like if I'm running for office and Paulette forms a super PAC around, let's just say YouTube news programming.
Yeah.
Right? My message might be over here. Paulette can create whatever she wants over here.
Whatever I want.
And ne'er the two shall meet. Sorry, go ahead.
No. That was really, really good. But see, here's the thing before I get into APAC. The issue with that is that your super PACs and your PACs, when you really break them down and you look at whose names are under there, it would absolutely surprise you, especially when you're talking about, let me back up and say this as well. So one of the things that I actually did do during one of my lives was we found out, and I didn't even know this, right? Any one of us can form a PAC or a super PAC. So it's I did not know. Now, of course, you have to file with the FEC. You have to, create your So
that makes sense, right? That does absolutely make sense. Anybody can create a PAC, sure.
Correct. Absolutely. Yep. Now it could be a group of people. It can't be just like you yourself, right? But you can. And when I did not know that until I dug deeper, because I was like, well, wait a minute, can I create my own PAC? Let's just go do some research and find out. Well, anyway, let's stay over here. All right. Now, let's talk about APAC. And I know a lot of people have been hearing this word a lot. It's been thrown around a lot recently, but let's talk about it. APAC, basically, let's talk about it, has been around since the 1950s. Okay.
Let people know what that stands for.
Okay, so here's what it is. It is an Israeli based, and I'm going to pull it up because I forget as I sit here and I talk to you.
Oh, I
And
know.
that's,
'Cause I think also when we're like looking things up for research for this,
yeah,
it becomes a soup of acronyms. And we can't,
yeah.
sometimes it's a little harder. Anyway, or maybe
You
that's just my ADHD menopause brain, but whatever.
It's okay. So let me tell you what APAC is. And
Yeah.
if you literally, you can do all kinds of research and find out exactly who they are and why it matters.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, and why is my system taking forever? Basically, this is they say they're a bipartisan
Mhm.
organization. But
Well, I mean, technically they are because they contribute millions of dollars to
to
bipartisan
both
candidates.
sides. Yeah, they do. So the American Israel Public Affairs Committee is basically a pro-Israel lobbying group that actually advocates its policies to legislative and executive branches of the United States. And what ends up happening, okay, Paulette, get your feelings out of it. Stick with it because I'm about to go down. Okay, so it's actually a group that's focused on U.S. and Israel issues.
Mhm.
And here's what it's supposed to do. It talks to leaders about policies it supports, which basically means they're lobbying. Did
Yes.
you catch that? It also has its own PAC. Remember what that is? It's a political action committee,
Mhm.
gives limited money, folks, and super PACs that they spend on ads. Now, this group, again, as I said earlier, has been around since the 1950s. Now, its PAC and super PACs started in 2021. Now, let me tell you why this matters. It literally supports candidates who agree with its views and spends money to help them win. And again, like Heather was saying, they are bipartisan because they give money to both sides. And we know bi means both.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about lobbyists before I go down the rabbit hole of my disdain for one over the other. Think professional persuaders.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like if I came to your house, and I really needed you to get on board with this particular measure, right? Like it's really, really important to me to get support for whatever the measure is, right? And like
Mhm.
giving chipmunks citizenship, whatever it is, right? Um, I only say that because a chipmunk just like ran across my yard and I saw it out the
Oh,
window.
okay, okay, okay.
Whatever it is,
Um,
right? Whatever the measure is. But if you want to take one and be serious about it, um, let's talk about, abortion rights.
yeah.
Okay, like the right to choose. If I really feel like that measure is incredibly important, which it is, um, I can come to you and be like, hey, this measure is really important to me. These are the reasons why it's really important. This is how not supporting these reasons affects women, affects American families, blah, 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 right? And then
Right.
you make a choice on whether or not you're going to be like, yeah, that sounds good to me. Or no, it doesn't. I don't want it. I don't want any part of it.
Mhm,
But if
mhm.
you say, yeah, that sounds good to me,
Right.
then the next, and I don't actually know how this business is conducted. So take this with a truck of road salt. But
Mhm.
at some point, money changes hands.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to give you money
Mhm.
because you've said you'll support this measure in the legislature. I'm not really sure how that conversation happens, having never been a part of it, but essentially that's what happens.
Mhm. Exactly. And so when we're talking about lobbyists, these people sit around and they go in these rooms with lawmakers and their staff
Mhm.
and they share research, they gather the data and suggest how to write or to change the current laws. Now, what
Mhm.
you need to understand is that these lobbyists are working for um, organizations. Gosh, and some of these names actually elude me at this point, but they're working for other organizations and they get in there and they start talking and schmoozing, right? And
Mhm.
so this has been going on since forever.
It's
It's not
networking at
new.
the nth degree. Like
It
that's
is
really,
at the nth
and then there's
degree.
dollars behind, like real
Right,
money
and there's
behind it.
money. Yeah. And so here's why that matters. These people, when they get in there as lobbyists, they actually can shape what a law says. Okay. It could be, and we talked about this before. Remember when we talked about advertising and marketing and the psychology of that?
Yes.
Even the changing of a small word can change who benefits when it comes to a lobbyist coming in and persuading lawmakers to make those changes in the Senate and the House. So those, it's, that's the best way that I can put it. Now, let's talk about how this actually affects voting in government briefly before I pass it off to Heather.
Yeah.
So before elections, PACs and super PACs literally boost some candidates and hurt others with money and ads. That affects who wins. Listen to what I just said, and I'm going to break this down. I'm going to break this down because today was Grandparents' Day. There were children who were there today whose grandparents were not there. And there were some whose grandparents did go. I was one of the grandparents that did. But because we co-grandparent, my granddaughter had 3 grandparents with her today. We are the PACs and the super PACs. Let me tell you why. So after we had lunch with our granddaughter, the school has decided that they're going to have their annual book fair. How apropos, correct?
Yes. And I see where you're going with this. Go for it.
Yes. So if the 3 of us as co-grandparents are the PACs and the super PACs, we have the dollars necessary for our granddaughter to go into the bookstore and literally purchase whatever she wants. While her classmates whose parents or grandparents did not attend today's event did not have the opportunity to go to the bookstore because they did not have the monetary resources to do so.
Yep.
So therein lies how PACs and super PACs work. The more money that are in the PACs and super PACs that are funding candidates and lawmakers, the more power that they have to be effective in their advertising and marketing campaigns, which literally ties into what we talked about last week. Because if you do not have the resources necessary to create excellent marketing campaigns, hire the right team to do the right research, to get those analytics done for you ahead of time, and create the correct campaigns for the correct avatar that you're trying to reach, you won't be able to take home the books from school.
Yep.
How's that?
That is a really excellent analogy. That is the perfect illustration. Truly. And I think that it's important also to note that super PAC spending has been increasing ever since Citizens United in 2010, right? Like it goes up every single year by whatever percentage. But here's what I want. In 2024 alone, outside groups, PACs and super PACs, spent more than $2.5 billion at the federal level. That's just at the federal level.
My God.
And here's what makes that suck even more, is that a tiny group of wealthy individuals fund the majority of super PAC activity. People like George Soros on the Democratic side and Elon Musk in the U-lines on the Republican side. For those of you who don't know who the U-lines are, I'm sure you have boxes or some type of like office supply stuff that says U-line. It's literally the letter U and line. There's a family behind that here in Wisconsin, and they've got money to burn, and they do it by putting their money behind conservative candidates. And this is so why that's important to know is that while the bigger races at the federal level were the target, now races for nonpartisan things like school boards, judges, those are also now being targeted by PACs and super PACs. And especially, you ready for this one? Attorneys general, state attorneys general are being targeted for that as well. Now, when you live in so I'm using Wisconsin as an example. That's where I live. Paulette is from Wisconsin. The reason I'm using that as an example is Wisconsin is about as swingy a purple state as you can get. Right. We have a Democratic governor. Democratic lieutenant governor and secretary of state and attorney general, but we have a Republican treasurer and a Republican-led legislature.
Wow.
Right? So, so Wisconsin has long been noted as a swing state. As Wisconsin votes, so does the country, has been a thing, and that remains a thing. But I just want you to know that focusing on lower election or lower profile elections, rather, shapes policy at the state level on voting rights, reproductive access, and education. Sorry, I broke it.
No. This is good stuff. I hope you all are still taking notes.
I hope
Go sharpen your pencils and your pens. Because this is good stuff and this is necessary. I think one of the things, and I'm going to break just a little bit, but stay on task, because I like to tell stories so that this makes sense. One of the things that you guys definitely need to know is who some of the regular PACs are.
Yes.
And then why this is so important. Regular PACs. Remember, these are political action committees. And what we need to understand is that major companies that you literally spend money with or do business with or work for literally are behind a lot of what's currently happening and being shaped in the government today in the US. Okay. Regular PACs. Let me give you a list, just a short one. Microsoft Corporation, stakeholders. That's a regular PAC. Okay. AT&T, Employee Federal PAC. Service Employees International Union, or the SEIU COPE PAC. There's the National Association of Realtors. Teamsters. Some of these guys sound familiar to you all?
A little bit.
Yeah. The NRA. Emily's List. And of course, APAC.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of these super PACs. Now, there's the Senate Majority PAC, which is Democratic. And we have the House Majority PAC, which is also Democratic. But then we also have the Senate Leadership Fund, which is Republican, and the Congressional Leadership Fund, which is also Republican. Club for Growth, American Bridge, 21st Century, the Make America Great Again Super PAC, Future Forward USA Super PAC.
Now, are these all Republican organizations that you're naming?
No.
Oh, they're just all over the place. Okay.
Yeah, they're just all over the place.
Okay.
United Democracy Project. These are APAC affiliate. And Fair Shake.
Okay.
These are just a few, right? So like what you need to also understand is that major corporations have created I just gave you just a few because Walmart has a PAC, Target has a PAC. And here's something else that I've learned in my research of PACs is that even though they may have their own PAC, they can also become a part of a super PAC.
Wait, say that again?
Yeah. Hold on.
You need your coffee for that one.
So in my research, and like I said, I really dug deep. These corporations can also create different organizations to become part of super PACs. So they don't necessarily have to remain just, Joe Schmo's PAC. It could be, I am now officially a part of this super PAC over here. So it's going to be Joe Schmo's Coffee, and then the Creamer Joe Schmo, and then Joe Schmo, the sugar refinery. And we're all going to get together and we're going to create a super PAC.
Okay. Because we're all in the sugar industry.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And so what they do is depending, and especially depending on what state that you're from, you may want, okay, so I'm going to give you an example. An example would be here in the state of Georgia where I currently am. I'm just throwing out names. I don't know if these are real folks or not, but I love to give you examples so it can kind of help you think.
Yep.
So when you're talking about these PACs and these super PACs, a lot of times what happens based upon whomever is running and what state that they're in. Yes, we're talking about the big dogs like Microsoft, AT&T, right? Because those are national PACs. Those are national companies and corporations. But when we're talking about local, they can also be local as well. So local organizations can literally get behind a candidate based upon the industry that is specific to that state.
Okay, that makes sense.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So what they do is they literally create a PAC or a super PAC so that they can get behind that candidate and have those lobbyists ready and so forth. So they all kind of work together. It's like one big wheel, and each one of those wheels is a part of each one of those portions. Like they become the spokes that help the wheel to run.
Okay.
And that is so important, especially depending on what's important to you. But if you're not careful and you're not getting the monetary support that you need, you can easily lose a campaign, especially when you don't have the resources necessary to go to the bookstore and buy the book. That's how come you see a lot of candidates who are really damn good and could do so much when they get in office.
Right, but they don't have the funding to get the marketing out.
Correct. Exactly. And so again, unfortunately, it ties back so much in what we talked about last week, because again, advertising and marketing is so important. And again, without the resources monetarily, we cannot create TOMA. Because it costs money to advertise.
Top of mind awareness, people.
Top of mind awareness. It is so super important. And so the state of Georgia, one of their industries here is entertainment. Okay. Another industry that is super popular here is sugar. Okay. We have a lot of the sugar refineries are here. It gets shipped here, and there's a big refinery in Savannah, and they produce a lot of the sugar that gets shipped out with different names and brands on it, but it's basically Domino sugar, right? So what happens is the sugar refinery gets together with the packaging company and the grocery stores, and they create a super PAC, and they're going to get behind whomever is going to make sure that the safety or the OSHA regulations that they want to be removed, they're going to get behind that candidate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's, if you notice too, there's, because deregulation was, it wasn't necessarily a whisper, but it definitely wasn't being shouted, right? And centered around like a whole campaign promise and all this sort of thing, right? Because in general, Americans think that like a good environment is good for everybody, right? But now that business PACs, super PACs, they have really gone like with full-throated support for the deregulation of various businesses, for environmental regulations, whatever, because what that means to them then is their members will increase their bottom lines almost exponentially, right? Like that's just how it is. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No. That was really, really good. I think what we're both basically saying the same thing. These PACs and these super PACs are put together, they're congealed together because they're focused on getting some things passed through the government, right? So they're going to get together based upon their concerns for what's going to pull the business forward or push the business forward. Is it going to be deregulating something dealing with, EEOC or with OSHA? Is it going to be opening up a way for electronic vehicles to be created here in the state of Georgia? Well, there's going to be a PAC and a super PAC that's going to get behind one of those candidates who literally says, I want to make sure that so-and-so and so-and-so gets done, XYZ. And they're going to get behind that person. And not only that, it wouldn't surprise me if that is what they are, greasing their palms to actually get into office to talk about, right? Because then once they get in office, here's what I need you all to understand. It's just like the dope man. Can I go here? I'm about to go here.
Go there.
Stop me at any time, Heather.
No, you've got this. Go.
So what happens, and you all need to understand this, and this is so important, especially when we're talking about APAC, and we're going to get there in just a moment. You can tell I'm real passionate about this shit because it pisses me off to the nth degree. So you're on the streets. You're trying to move ahead. You're trying to make your coins. You're trying to go to school. You're trying to be the good person and do everything. And here comes Leroy, and Leroy has a bunch of his friends and him, and they've gotten together and they want you to sell the most popular item on campus.
I feel like I should go find that Slick Rick song. Go ahead. All right.
Yes, yes, go ahead, find it. Find it. So Leroy literally has come to you and he's like, hey, baby girl, all I need you to do is to when you get on campus, I just need you to promote my ice cream bars that are laced with this chemical that's going to make people want to get and eat more ice cream bars. That's all I need you to do. But I'm gonna front you first. I'm gonna front you. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of you first. This is what I need you to do. I'm gonna give you 50,000. That's gonna take care of you for the next 4 years. You good? You so desperate to get in class so that you can graduate that you take the 50,000 and you run with it. But guess what?
Now there's a price to pay.
There is a price to
and it is steep.
And it is. Yes. And so here comes Leroy knocking on your door. You packing up because you graduated. He says, baby girl, it's time to pay up. So guess what you got to do?
Now you got to sell ice cream bars laced with something.
You better sell those ice cream bars. There you go. Exactly. So it's the same thing, even with AIPAC. So AIPAC is the same way. And yes, you should be upset about this because even when we're talking about AIPAC, AIPAC literally has lobbyists in other pro-Israel groups who are other PACs and super PACs who come together and work directly with your lawmakers to say what money that they want for what is currently happening right now.
Yes.
Those are your tax dollars, folks.
Yes. So just to give you an example of how this works on a very real level on a recent election. So every state has a Supreme Court, right? You have your circuit court, you have your appeals court, and then you have your state Supreme Court.
Yeah.
That's the graduation. Well, you don't have a state appeals court. You go to an appeals district court. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's the progression. So in Wisconsin, again, we are a swing state, right? So we've had since, I want to say 2011, 2012, we've had a conservative majority on our Supreme Court. Had the opportunity to flip it this past April. And so we had two judges running against each other. And the reason why this election was so critical, and because this is, I hate that we have to keep saying this, but in the end, it is. I feel like we keep saying it and it kind of dilutes the meaning. But every election lately is really critical. Like these elections are creating tipping points so that rights that were codified by your state Supreme Court or even the Supreme Court of the United States could be flipped on their head with a new legislature or new Supreme Court justices, like that. And here in Wisconsin, when Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022, the state reverted back to an 1849 law, which I don't even know that it counts because Wisconsin was technically admitted to the Union, I believe, in 1848. So there was a lot of discussion on whether or not the law even had teeth because of, whatever. Anyway, but also at the heart of it, everybody knows that there are district maps. You see what's going on in Texas, that they have voted to gerrymander their state districts so that it takes only 300,000 or 400,000 white voters to have a representative, but it takes 1.3 million black or brown voters to have a representative, right? So they've done that. Missouri's doing it. Other Republican states are doing it. California, they're going to a statewide referendum on November 4th to approve temporary maps to kind of take the teeth out of what's happening in Texas. So we are also doing that here in Wisconsin. Our congressional maps, our state maps that go to elect our state representatives in Madison, that's our state capital. those maps were ordered redrawn. Now they have been. So while we still have a Republican majority legislature, Democrats were able to gain a number of seats so that Republicans really do need like every single vote if they want to try to do something on a party line, right?
Okay.
Now, where they run into trouble, of course, is we have a Democratic governor and he's like on a lot of things.
Okay.
But your state, every state is also drawn along to create congressional districts. So
Yes.
who do you send to Washington as your representative in the House? Okay. They're determined by like a population. And I looked up the number, and of course I can't find that note, but it doesn't matter. But either way, whatever the number is, that's how they determine the district. But even those lines were gerrymandered to a certain degree, right? So in Wisconsin, they want the Supreme Court to say, hey, the maps we have right now are gerrymandered. So the election in April was really like, do we uphold the 1849 abortion law? And do we redraw congressional maps? Those are huge issues, okay? Guess how much was spent in Wisconsin for the Supreme Court race?
How much?
Oh, no, I want you to actually guess.
For real? You really want me to guess?
I want you to guess.
20 million.
100 million.
Shut the front door.
$100 million in a state Supreme Court race. It is the most expensive judicial election in U.S. history.
That is insane.
It's insane. Insane. Okay.
Okay.
So this is where the money's come from. You ready?
Okay.
The aforementioned U lines. Right? George Soros also, he contributes on the Democrat side, but honestly, I can see why Republicans say like, oh, but George Soros, right? He does give millions of dollars, but it pales in comparison.
Yeah.
And then Elon Musk forms a PAC, America PAC, right? They ran ads around the clock. Most of them were negative. Most of them were misleading. And then here's where the controversy really comes in. Musk offered $100 to voters to sign.
I remember that.
Saying that they would vote for the conservative candidate. Not only that, but he actually gave somebody who attended a rally, I think it was in Green Bay, gave them $1 million check. Like, here you go, here's $1 million.
Yeah, he did.
So our state attorney general, Josh Call, sued Musk for a potential election bribery and illegal inducements. I don't know if that case has been settled. I should have looked that up. But the reason why this matters so much is other states are watching what happened here.
Yes,
and some are already replicating. So
that's horrifying.
It's horrifying. So if you have a Supreme Court race in your state for 2026, which, by the way, in Wisconsin, this is beautiful. We have a Supreme Court race every year until 3030. So we just had one in 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 6 years in a row, we're going to have Supreme Court race.
My God. Oh my God.
And it also, I think what that really raises a point though is, and I think this is kind of the underlying thing about all of this PAC, super PAC campaign financing is, what does that mean for independence, especially for judicial independence, right? But what does it mean for voter trust?
Exactly. See,
like, how does that undermine not only our trust in the process, but our trust that our elections, okay, I'm not going to say that because this is, so I have been a hyperlocal reporter for over 20 years. I had to count in my head. I was like, 20 years.
Yeah.
And when people say things about our elections not being secure, that election integrity is at stake, I get super offended on behalf of the clerks who work their asses off
Yes. Yes.
to make elections run smoothly and
Smoothly.
without hiccups.
Yeah.
They are people of deep integrity.
Mm-hmm.
They are people who do things by the book.
Book.
There
Yeah.
is no room for, well, maybe that's an interpretation. Absolutely not. They don't play those games
Right.
because
Right.
of how important your vote is to our democracy. It's
Mm-hmm.
sacred. And the
Yeah.
clerks who run those elections
Mm-hmm.
know that.
Yeah.
And so when I say voter trust, I don't mean voter trust in our election process, like where you register to vote, you go cast
Right.
your vote, there your vote is tallied. I mean
Mm-hmm.
more in how can I trust these candidates
Because
because of all this money that's behind them or all these groups
absolutely.
that are trying to influence, right?
Right. And the thing is I think with you bringing that up is where I ultimately was going with me
Mhm.
telling the stories about the ice cream and so forth
Yeah,
and
of
all of
course.
that, because they, for all intents and purposes, people who are running for whatever party that they're running for
Mhm.
believe in their mind that what they are running for in the beginning is what they're running for, which is right for whomever their constituents are or future constituents will be.
Right.
And they have those beliefs in position in place, and they have every right to do that under
Mhm.
the US. But the issue that I have is that when someone does not have the monetary resources behind them, what will they do to get
Yeah.
elected? And
Yeah. I
that's,
mean,
yeah,
it's a good question because, and again, I'm just coming back to Wisconsin because this is what I know.
yeah,
Um, so our Democratic governor, Tony Evers, he has chosen not to run for reelection next
I
year.
heard. Yeah.
And the field of candidates so far on the Republican side, I think there's only two, but the Democratic side is starting to fill up. And one of them is Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's kind of a splashy name, right? But does that make him any better as a gubernatorial candidate than the gentleman I'm going to talk to tomorrow, who
Yeah,
is, a blue collar worker from Whitewater?
it shouldn't,
Right. But
but
it's an example of how, um, you know, you're a bigger name, you're going to garner bigger money.
exactly.
Right. And I'm not saying that David Crowley shouldn't raise all the money he can, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it does, the way our election system is set up, is it does put candidates who want to, well, I take it back. The gentleman I'm talking to tomorrow is not running for governor. He's running against Brian Stile next year for Congress. Okay, sorry. But there's a guy who's a beer vendor at Miller Park where the Brewers play, and he's like charge of a union for like the beer vendors at the stadium and all this sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. He's running for governor. Why should he not be able to garner the support that, for instance, David Crowley will? Or Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez will, because she's also running,
Yeah.
right? So like
Toma. Toma.
Toma, there we
And
go.
Toma
Toma,
costs money.
yes,
Therein lies the issue. And so if he cannot garner the support with whomever is going to be helping him monetarily, you can have as many boots on the ground, no pun intended on that. You can have as many flyers and front doors and all of the things. But when you are talking about a digital world that we're currently living in, where everyone is online, literally in the hours upon hours throughout their day, scrolling and waking up scrolling and going to bed scrolling and watching the local streams and so forth, if they do not have the monetary resources to do, let me tell you something. Here, I'm gonna put this out here too. These, and I'm a publisher,
hmm
but I'm gonna keep it 100. um, During the political season, baby, we make money because we gonna charge you because we know you got the resources behind you. But if you don't, you can't pay for a 30-second spot because we're not gonna give it to you for $15. We're not gonna do that.
right.
Okay. So the
Right.
more money that you have, the more spots that you have. We've talked about this in the last class that we had.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, the right guy is probably the
Not the
guy
guy who's
from
getting the most money.
correct.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. And when you refer back to like Elon Musk offering payments to voters and whatever, like,
Disgusting.
is it
Oh,
legal? Maybe. Maybe there's, I think the jury's still out on that. Is
yeah.
it ethical? That
No,
is
it's
a
not ethical.
whole different ball game, right? Because
Right.
those types of payments are alarming, um, because we're incentivizing civic participation and or buying votes. So where's the line? Where's
There
the
was none.
where's the
He's
dividing line?
there with him. There he literally, and what's horrifying with that and what he did was he basically told the world, and what we're witnessing right now, even with PACs and with super PACs, is
Mhm.
as long as we've got the money, we can do whatever the hell we want to.
Right, right.
And that's what we're experiencing. And that is where I am my most aggravated when it comes to PACs and super PACs. And I don't care how much money you have, but when you start doing low down stuff, I'm trying
Mhm.
not to cuss. I really am.
Just cuss.
Okay, when I see you and you're so blatant about it, when you're out here and you're literally doing low down shit, like I will pay you $1 million
Yeah, to
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 come
vote
out
for the
here
conservative
to
candidate.
vote for, and she probably didn't give one damn about who was running, but
Well,
her
and the
bills
thing
needed to
is
be paid.
that, like, where the flaw in his plan, of course, was that the conservative candidate lost big, like really big, like 55 to 45% of the vote. Like
Right.
there was a 10
Mhm.
point spread. And he was real salty about that. Elon Musk was real salty, and he was like,
Yep.
"I'm out of elections because
I'm out of elections. Yeah, I remember
I
that. But
blew all this money and it didn't go
yeah,
anywhere, right?" But
because he forgets that we're still the people.
right, there's that part. But the reason why I really wanted to talk about the Wisconsin case is not only is it the most expensive judicial election in U.S. history, and the money poured into the conservative candidate kind of went nowhere.
Yep.
But this case is almost oh, so it hasn't. Maybe there hasn't been decision. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This case is almost certainly going to end up before the United States Supreme Court. Now, rational people would be like, well, of course that violates some sort of voting something,
Mhm.
right? Some election guideline, state statute, whatever, right?
Mhm.
And maybe it does. But here's the thing. It's really a broader challenge
Yeah.
on the limits of coordinated spending.
Yeah.
And it's almost like another Citizens United or speechnow.org, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
almost another one of those. And as we have seen, I don't know if anybody's keeping score, but I looked it up. The United States Supreme Court is siding with Trump 70% of the time.
I don't want to talk about it
I know.
because with this last one with the 14th Amendment,
I know.
I'm
I know.
yeah.
I know. We're going to have to talk about that too. And we're going to have to talk about vaccines because good God, did I go down a rabbit hole today. That is another topic for another day, but let's
I
just
don't know now. We probably need to talk about it. I'm
after
okay with it.
after we finish our civics, then we're gonna get into the other
Yeah.
things.
Okay.
But anyway, but that's why, like, that's why I wanted to bring it up is, and there's another thing too, right? So you would think, so the Wisconsin Elections Commission, every state has one. There's a federal elections commission. They don't really have a lot of teeth. Like, it's almost like what we said in our first episode when we were talking about the courts and enforcing like their rulings. It only
Mhm.
goes so far as you have people who are willing to
Yeah.
carry out whatever the court decides, right? So the
Mhm.
elections commissions are the same.
Mhm.
Our people in the state of Wisconsin, by and large, if the Wisconsin Elections Commission is like, yo, you can't do that, they don't do it. They don't do it, right? But the
Okay.
and the federal election, I didn't look this up. I'm going to do it right now.
Okay.
How many Democrats and Republicans?
And y'all, while she's doing that, y'all see how easy that is to do that?
Yeah, right.
Only one of
FEC.
us can do that.
Because here in Wisconsin, we have 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans. And every 2 years, they rotate the chair on who's going to lead the WEC. Is it a Democrat or a Republican? So as of September 25, the Federal Election Commission has 2 Democratic members and one Republican member, but the 3 remaining seats, because it's a 6-person commission, are vacant.
Damn.
What? I wish I'd have looked this up before we did this. It's designed to have an even split with no more than 3 of its 6 commissioners from the same political party. The current vacancies, which developed in early 2025, have left the agency without the 4-member quorum needed. That means that literally nobody is steering the ship.
That's scary as hell.
Jesus. So let's just pretend, for the sake of this conversation, that the FEC was fully staffed with 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans, or 2 Republicans and 2 independents, right? Whatever. Has to be the same number from whatever political party they're coming from.
Okay.
They're often deadlocked, right? So they very rarely can issue an actual decision. Here in Wisconsin, we are lucky enough that we rarely have that. We usually will have like the 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat voting together, or even 2 Democrats, or the opposite, right? It's usually like a 4-2 or a 5-1 vote. We don't really have a lot of 3-3s. But also, the level of enforcement for campaign finance from state to state varies widely, depending on what your state's rules are. So in Georgia, you might have one that says you can't go door to door. I'm just using this as an example. Okay. So you can't go door to door. So Paulette's running for office. She can't put a street team. Sorry, my phone is ringing. You can't put a street team out to go knock on doors and talk to people. That's a Georgia rule. But in Wisconsin, you can do that. Yeah. That's not a problem. You can do that. You can leave literature on people's doorknobs, but you can't put it in their mailbox, right? Georgia, it might be you can put it in the mailbox, but you can't.
But yeah, I get you. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it just depends on the state. So, anyway, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. All
right. So that's kind of why. So the reason why we're bringing this up and why all this matters is because, again, 66% of Americans cannot describe how a bill becomes a law. And like a third of adults or something, I'd have to look at our previous episode, are illiterate in general, right? Like, can't read. So our level of civic illiteracy, coupled with our lack of just literacy in general, has left us with a system that is ripe for corruption.
Correct. And it's happening right now in front of our faces.
Yes.
And the most unfortunate part about this, and I'm glad that you said what you just did, when we're talking about the level of civic illiteracy in this country right now, we have more people who can tell you who are the stars of reality television shows and who are the winners of this season's WWE. We are so caught up in the feel good. And the media is to blame. I am media, you are media, but we're on the other side of media, right? But
well,
the media,
so let's also define, when Paulette says media, we're talking about corporate media.
Corporate media. Yeah. The corporate media is so rife with the idea that they have to get all of the coins and get your money. So they're taking these advertisements. Do you see the rabbit hole that we have fucking ended up down
Yeah.
just in this conversation alone. And so because of that, but then we could also go into the educational system as well, right? So we can go there and we can talk about how much civics education did you really get? Was it
Well,
fifth grade?
I think we got quite a bit.
Well, I know we did.
But I think that changed in probably like the last 20 years is going to be.
It did because we didn't want to leave any child behind.
Right.
But in so doing, what we did was we cut a lot of education that needed to be taught, and one of them was going down this rabbit hole of American civics, because that suffered because we didn't want to leave anybody behind, but we left so many people behind because here we are, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and so here's another reason why this campaign finance stuff is so important. So when I was talking about voter trust earlier, it wasn't necessarily that people believe that there's something wrong with our election process, because by all accounts, the 2024 November election was like the most secure election we've ever had.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a fact, right? Excuse me. Ballots were counted, machines worked the way they're supposed to. Nobody reported bugs or any weird stuff.
Right.
But where voter trust gets eroded is voters then start to question the institution of government itself.
Mm-hmm.
And when we question the need, the efficiency,
Mm-hmm.
the role, the goals, the purpose
Yes.
of government, and I'm not saying we shouldn't question those things. We absolutely should, because as American citizens, it is our right and our duty to constantly question. We should be continually evaluating and questioning whether or not this agency or that agency is really necessary and serving the people that it's meant to serve.
Yes.
We absolutely should be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But when people start to think, I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter anyway, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep. But you know what, though? When we're talking about this, now I'm squirreling just a little bit.
Go for it.
Learning a little bit more about PACs and super PACs, wouldn't you think that your vote didn't matter?
100%. 100%. And that's and there is talk, although I don't think it's going to get very far, because it would take a case to make its way through the system to SCOTUS, and I don't know that they would at this point.
Not right now.
Right? But voters deserve to know who's behind the messaging. So, right, like their transparency, like we deserve to know who's paying for what and where the money's coming from.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, campaign finance laws aren't really keeping up. And money is writing the rules.
Right. But here's something else, though. You can find out. You know, you just have to do the research. But the issue is nobody wants to do the research. You can look it up.
Yeah.
Right. It's information that that was easy for me to find.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just are not doing the research. You can go to fec.gov. You can find that information. You can go to opensecrets.org. You can find the information there, and who these PACs and these super PACs are. You can even break down by your senator and your governor, all of these folks, your Congress people. You can literally break it down and find out who gave them money.
100%. You know, honestly, you look up every other damn thing under the sun. Give it a go and let your fingers do the walking across the internet.
She said fingers do the walking. Oh my God.
Remember that?
Yes.
Sorry, we're old, but it used to be the yellow pages.
The yellow pages, yes.
So for those of you who don't, you know what? Give that a goog and look that up too. I'm not explaining.
Look it up. That's right. Damn it.
Damn it. Ah, get off my lawn. That's us now.
That's right.
All right. So this has been, I hope you found it enlightening and educational and also entertaining, because let's face it, we're amazing. And we are. And we're funny, but smart.
Yes, we are. We are.
So I forget what we're talking about next week. Doesn't matter. Just join us, because we'll be here.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Paulette, do the outro like you do.
Well, yes. So you guys, you have been tuned into the Rivalry Report. We're so happy that you could join us here for another crazy walk down Civics hallway at at Rivalry Report University for you to
Okay.
get the information that you probably missed while you were snoozing in class. And that's okay, because we promise we will not leave you.
We will not let you down.
That's
All right,
right.
everyone. Good
All
evening, good
right.
morning, good afternoon.
All
See
right,
you
you
next
guys.
week. Bye.
That's it.